Have you ever felt shame or felt the shame? Maybe you did something so embarrassing that it's hard for you to be around other people because you don't want to feel ashamed. Or maybe something happened to you, something you didn't ask to have happen to you. And now you have to endorse that shame. If so, you came to the right place. In this video, I'll be talking about shame and how to overcome shame. So in my practice, I've been getting a lot of clients coming in and they've been talking about feeling shamed and feeling ashamed and feeling as if they can't change the perspective of the situation that happened to them or a situation they put themselves in. So I really want to be very intentional with this video about what shame actually is and how you can actually overcome shame. Shame is a feeling, you know what I mean? Shame is a feeling, so feelings can change. So let's talk about what shame actually is. So shame is a feeling of humiliation, right? So shame is an actual feeling, but it's not only just a feeling, it's a feeling caused by a consequence of a wrongdoing or a foolish behavior. So let's put this into context in an example, right? Say, for example, you out drinking with your friends and you drink just a little bit, well, it probably wouldn't be a little bit, a lot of it too much. And what happens is you get so drunk that you can't even take care of yourself. You don't remember anything. You might wake up hungover, but you talk to other people and they're telling you, man, you was pissy, drunk, you was out of it, you was getting into arguments, you were yelling at people, and you know that was out of your character. You might feel a little embarrassed about your behavior. So being around those people or being around those folks, they might have some judgment around you. They might say like, hey, like, you know, you're a drunk, you're not cool when you drink, and you know, all these other things that might come with it. So there might be some shame with that because you did a foolish act or foolish behavior. Now on the other side of the coin, and this is where I feel as if it's harder to process shame, is when something happens to you as opposed to you doing something. Now, when you have something done to you, such as like a traumatic event, there can be a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, a lot of questions, a lot of blaming yourself for the incident that happened. Let's use sexual assault as an example. There's a lot of questions that you may ask yourself, or the person that you know may ask themselves based around the traumatic event. And those questions don't really come from a standpoint of empowerment. The questions come from the why me statement, like, why did this happen to me? Why did this person choose me? There might also be some shame around telling folks because you might get a lot of judgment if you told somebody that you're sexually assaulted. I hear a lot of times these days as to when people hear about somebody being sexually assaulted, they want to jump in and say, why were you there? Or why did you put yourself in that situation? Or why did you go on that date? Or I told you not to go out that night, right? There's a lot of different responses that we do get from our society that will hinder us from actually being empowered to share what happened to us and get the help that we deserve around the traumatic event. I read an interesting statistic that only about 15 to 20% of sexual assaults are actually reported. When I heard this statistic and I was thinking about it, I was like, well, that probably makes sense when we're talking about the topic of shame, because it can be so shameful to actually open up and talk about that. So I'm gonna give you guys 3 reasons why it's hard for you to let go of shame. So the first reason is the shame that you're feeling is attacking and it's being very persistent in impacting your self-esteem. Shame has a huge, huge impact on how you feel about yourself and your self-esteem. Shame is not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling. It's not a positive vibe. You feel me? So when you're feeling shame, you're not gonna feel good about yourself. And what happens when you have a low self-esteem? The low self-esteem is fueled by the story that you tell yourself. So those negative thoughts that you have about yourself around the incident is going to have a huge impact on your self-esteem. I don't know about y'all, but I don't like to feel bad about myself. I really don't like to feel bad about myself. And when I do feel bad about myself, I really have to check myself and see where is my self-esteem at in the moment. And why am I feeling the way I feel? The second thing is, now you're trying to be a perfectionist. Now that this event has happened to you, you are at all costs not trying to have that event happen to you ever, ever, ever again. And rightfully so. Why would you want to feel shame again? Why would you want to feel embarrassed? Why would you want to be re-traumatized, right? So it makes sense of why you may want to be a perfectionist. You don't want to mess up. And now you're avoiding making mistakes. And why is the reason why you are avoiding making mistakes? Because the feeling of shame is so triggering to you that you don't want to go back to that feeling ever, ever, ever again, right? So now with that being said, because you're stuck on being a perfectionist, you're not allowing yourself to grow. You're not allowing yourself to have experiences where you might make mistakes, because now what you're associating mistakes is those shameful events or even those traumatic events. So when you mess up or you're not doing something right or you feel as if you can do better at something, you're going to be at all costs trying your best not to mess something up or avoid doing that one particular thing just for the sake of knowing that you're not going to mess up. Now, why I say this limits your growth is because if you're attempting to try something new, then what's going to happen is you're probably going to avoid that new thing all over because it's unfamiliar territory. And the thought of you make a mistake is a horrific, horrific thought. But I will say this, you do have to allow yourself to attempt new things. You do have to allow yourself to not be a perfectionist. Nobody is perfect. There's no reason why you have to have this idea in your mind that you have to be perfect, right? Being perfect isn't going to help you avoid embarrassing or shameful situations. That's just the facts. It's not going to help you avoid those things. Now, in those shameful moments, are there things that maybe you can learn? Absolutely. I would highly encourage you to not allow these shameful events from keeping you from living a full life. And being perfectionist is not living a full life. And the third one is having a toll on your relationships. It's having a huge toll on your relationships. With shame comes embarrassment. And this embarrassment is a little bit different because now this embarrassment is leading to you having a preconceived notion of being judged, which can ultimately lead into having difficulties maintaining healthy relationships. If you go into every situation or every event in your life feeling as if you're going to be judged, that again is going to create avoidant behavior. You're going to avoid new relationships, you're going to avoid new people, you're going to even avoid people that you already feel comfortable with because you feel so shameful and you feel so horrible about the event or the circumstance that happened to you. And we need healthy relationships in our lives to have a full and healthy life. We need to have people around us that are our support systems because we can't operate and we're not meant and designed to be by ourselves. I know a lot of people say like, hey, like, you know, cool by myself. I can vibe out by myself. That's cool. You need your me time, but a community, a healthy support system, having healthy relationships with people, wherever it is in your romantic relationships, family, friends, you need all these different things to help you live a full life. Now, those are my 3 reasons why you are having difficulties getting over shame. And I want to encourage you to always, always don't allow shame to be an anchor in your life and allow it to keep you from being your full self and living a full, healthy life. If you're interested in working with me, I'll put my information in the description. Again, thank you guys for tapping in. My name is Terrence, the therapist. Y'all take care. Peace.